Hey guys, it's Mariana and I'm here to bring you a testimony. I pray that this testimony can at least bless one person, if that, and I would be super happy about that. I've tried to record this video about 40 times now, and every time I get to this part, I start to get a little tongue-tied because it is difficult. But I know that when God gives us a testimony, it's not for us to keep to ourselves, but it is to bless somebody who might be going through the same or similar situation. And if that's you, hold on tight because this is a good testimony. Earlier this month, my older brother Adam suffered a stroke. And it was something that, of course, nobody was expecting. And it hit me like a truck. It hit me like a big tow truck. And I was mad. I was angry. I was so upset. I didn't understand why God would allow this to happen. A little backstory, my brother, he is those kind of people that don't really want to hear about God. They rather go the rest of their lives not really hearing or caring for the gospel. There's been many times that I've tried to speak to my brother about God and he dismissed me. We would go days without speaking because he wouldn't want to talk to me anymore because everything I would talk about was God related and he didn't want to hear it. And I understood that and I respected him, but I kept praying. And so this is what made this situation so difficult for me, because it's like when I would pray more, this happened. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? Am I praying wrong? Am I doing something in my life wrong? Sorry if I get a little teary. I just didn't understand what it was that God was doing. I came into my room and I started yelling and I was like, you told me he would surrender. You told me he would be a man of God. You told me that me and my family would serve the Lord one day. And I was like, how is he supposed to worship you now? He has no speech. His right side of his body is paralyzed. How is he supposed to trust in you now? And in that moment of anger towards God, in that moment of hurt and pain, God reminded me of a verse in the Bible, Jeremiah 29:11, that says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper, not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." And at that moment, I rebuked myself. And I was like, what am I doing? I was called to be a worshiper. And when you are called to be a worshiper, which each and every one of you are, you don't just worship when things are great and the sun is shining and there's rainbows and unicorns. You don't just worship when everything is going your way. And you don't just worship when you are being blessed. But it shows a real, true heart of worship when you have no reason to sing any. That's when you need to worship more than ever, is when you're going through the valleys and not just on the mountaintops. It's easier said than done for sure. But I got in my room. I put on Waymaker, and you guys know that's my song. And I started to worship and I started to cry and I started to declare that God is above all things and God is the doctor of the doctors and God has a plan and a future for my brother. And I believed those things and I laid on the floor and the spirit of laughter came over me and I started to laugh, and it was like I was laughing in my enemy's face. And when I was laughing, this word came to me and I said it and I was like, do you know who my Father is? And it was as if I was speaking to the devil himself and asking, do you know who my Father is? He is the way maker. He is the promise keeper. He is the light in the darkness. And at that moment, I felt like I got my victory. a couple of days after, I was able to visit my brother in the hospital. So as I got to the hospital, it was my turn to go up to see him, and I got up there and he was super happy to see me. He tried smiling, and I told him, you know, we had a little conversation about how he needed to change his life, his lifestyle, make decisions. And I prayed over him and I said, God loves you, God is with you. And he was able to say, God is my friend. And it was something that hit me and I couldn't believe it myself. And I asked him if he was ready to make that decision to give his life to God. And he nodded, he said, yeah. And then I was able to be the one to pray with my brother the prayer of salvation. And my brother that day gave his life to Christ. So to wrap this up, when you may think that you have lost the battle, when you may think that everything is pointing to destruction and the end, that's when you have to have a faith of a warrior, the faith of even a mustard seed is sometimes just enough, because God knows what he's doing. And as it says it in this verse, God has plan and future for you. And he does not have a plan of destruction for you, but a plan to bless you, even when it looks like everything is wrong. So have faith. Have faith with me today that you will get through this. You will get through whatever situation you're going through. And the impossible is not impossible for our God, but it's very possible. So I hope this blessed you guys. I love you guys, and have faith.